My older son, Peter, had a fit every time he saw me driving the car. I called it vintage. He called it too old. It was a 1993 190E in a shade I called teal green that was so unusual that whenever I saw another car the same color, we waved in solidarity. It was a good car, and I hadn't seen any reason to replace it. I stepped out of the car and headed toward the backyard, my usual path to my kitchen door. As I opened the gate, still deep in thought, I heard rustling coming from inside. Somebody was in my yard. My breath caught, and I started to backtrack toward the driveway while reaching for my cell phone. Suddenly, a ball of black fur roared up and dropped a ball at my feet. I felt my lungs release, the air pouring out in a gush. Was I ever going to get used to this?
We didn't scare you, did we?
The voice belonged to Barry Greenberg, my sort of boyfriend. The sort of was only in my mind. He saw us as a couple. As a matter of fact, you did, I said as my heart rate returned to normal.
I stopped by to drop off some dog food, and while I was here, thought I'd give him a little playtime.
Though Barry shrugged defensively, his smile seemed self-satisfied.
Cosmo wants you to throw the ball,
Barry said, pointing at the red sphere at my feet. I bent over to pet the little black mutt, and he did a happy dance in response. I lobbed the ball far into the yard, then walked in, shutting the gate behind me. Cosmo ignored the ball and followed me.
Didn't you see my Tahoe parked out front?
Barry said.
I'd think you'd be used to my visits by now.
I guess I didn't notice your SUV. To me, all SUVs look the same. Besides, I'd been thinking about Sheila when I drove up, and there was a part of me that didn't want to see his SUV parked there.
I left more food for him in the kitchen. As long as I'm here, I might as well feed him.
Barry was a homicide detective, and very clever and very stubborn. His idea of calling before coming over was using his cell phone at my door, a problem for me. His excuse was that the nature of his job made it hard to make advance plans. As we walked into the kitchen, Barry pointed out the cabinet door he'd fixed. He was a master with his hands, and repaired anything in my house that seemed broken. "Where's Jeffrey?" I asked. Barry had been divorced for a number of years, but only recently had his soon-to-be 14-year-old son come to live with him. Barry gritted his teeth.
At a rehearsal.
Jeffrey wanted to be an actor, and wanted to be known as Columbia Greenberg, which he thought was a star name. Barry hated the name and the idea, and kept trying to steer him towards some kind of criminal justice career. So why was Barry in my backyard with Cosmo? The only way Barry and Jeffrey could adopt Cosmo was if they had a backup. The adoption people knew that homicide detectives often worked odd hours, and almost 14-year-olds weren't always dependable when it came to remembering to walk a dog or feed it. Since I had a house with a dog door and a big yard, and I was a total soft heart when it came to animals or kids, I'd agreed to be their backup. At first, Cosmo was just an occasional visitor, and I gave Barry a key so he could drop off the dog. Then Cosmo's visits began lasting a few days at a time, and eventually he moved here full-time. But since he was Barry's dog and Barry wanted to be a responsible pet dad, he kept the key and the right to come over whenever, so he could look after his dog. Quite frankly, though, this whole dog thing was as transparent as chiffon. I knew Barry was totally pleased with himself for figuring out how to get a key and full access to my house and my life. Barry asked me about my day as he got the dog's bowl, and I told him about Sheila's problem. "That's what small claims court is for," he said. He didn't seem happy when I didn't jump at the idea.
"Molly, don't get involved,"
he warned. "Just tell her